Boa tarde a todos, bem-vindos à 47ª semana da Mostra Virtual Permanente do Instituto Villa-Lobos da UNIRIO. Hoje nós temos o grande prazer de ter o professor Bernard Zinck dando uma Masterclasse para os nossos alunos, encerrando a nossa semana, nosso semestre letivo, nosso segundo semestre letivo ainda de 2020. Então vamos convidá-lo para a tela, por favor.
Bonjour, hello, good afternoon. I'm delighted to be joining you for a second masterclass, and I'm looking forward working with everyone.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you very much. We are really very happy to have you here to work with our students. Thank you very much. So we can begin with Rodrigo. Rodrigo is from bachelor, the course of violin. So he will play Bach.
Okay.
First movement.
Good. Hello, Rodrigo.
Hello. Can I start?
Yeah. Good, good. I enjoy hearing you. Rodrigo, what do you find the biggest challenge in this movement, in this adagio?
I think one of the most challenge in this movement is to play the chords.
Okay.
Yes, and to tune the chords as well.
Okay, so you are talking more of a technical challenge or a musical challenge? This is more of a technical challenge. What about a musical challenge? What do you find difficult about this movement musically?
So I can't understand you because of the sound.
Musically, when you play the music, what do you find difficult about this music?
Oh, okay. Yes, the tune, to tune the music, to tune the song, and to understand how Bach, think this piece, and to play in this according the period.
Okay, you are sort of turning around. You're not giving me like quite an answer, but that's okay. I think what's difficult about this movement, it's a slow movement. And so you still need to be able to give a sense of direction, even though it's a slow-paced movement. And I think this movement has a lot of tension release. Somehow you have chords and then written out ornaments. But even in those chords, very often you have the tension of a dissonance which gets resolved into a consonant. So you have to be careful about that tension, and release is always there. I feel like it's just your interpretation is a little too, there is not enough a sense of direction, and it sort of sounds the same. And there is another thing. Have you labeled all the keys? Like if you are at the beginning, Sol majeur, ta, ta, di, da, Sol minor, sorry. And then you have modulation, right? You have modulation in this piece.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you write all of the modulation in your score?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I think it's important, when you see an actor working on a text, the text has a lot of notation, I want to do this, I want to do that, underlining thing. I think you need to do this in your score in Bach. In a lot of Bach movement, you have to analyze a little bit. So put your cadences, put the modulations, put some important chords, because I think there are some chords which are important. For example, when you do the first phrase, you end in G minor, and then after the cadence, and then you have an So all of those cadences are not the same, and you sort of play them sort of always the same. So I think you have to know which kind of cadence, if it's perfect, authentic, if it's deceptive, if it's half cadence, because all of those little things have musical implications. Okay? So that's one thing for the musical. I think, as you said, the difficult technically, it's to have an or and a. So you have to be able to play one line going into a chord. And sometimes I feel like you stop. For example, if we have. So you have to practice not only the chords, but the connection from single line to the chord. Have you done that systematically, practicing all the chord connection? Have you done that?
Yes, actually, this is my problem with this piece. I was talking
it's not just yours. It is a difficult issue for everyone. So
to connect the chord, the phrase in the chords.
And I think you have, basically that piece is in two sections. You have the beginning from measure 1, and it goes all the way to the cadence at measure 13. Then you have a little transition at measure 14 is the same. It's almost like A prime. So it's like the same as the beginning. You have ta ya da 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 di da da. Then the second phrase ta ya da 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 da, which is the same ta ya da 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 da. So there is a symmetry between the A and the first section and the A prime section. So we need to also hear that. Okay, so that the piece is in two sections, A prime. Okay, and then when you do each phrase has to have a script. You have to be clear of what each phrase is about. The first one, for example, you have, that's your first phrase. You go from a tonic, dominant, tonic. Then second phrase is very different. So you don't have any chord, it's very soft, it goes up instead of coming down. Then your third phrase, you have two voices. Then the fourth phrase, it's the bass. Pa da da di da, da da di da di da da, pa da ya da da. So you see, you have to have a sort of in French, I would say a fil conducteur. How would I say that in Portuguese? A fil conducteur.
Fio condutor.
Yeah. You have to have something that you know that, so you know each phrase, you go from here to there and you know what it is. Okay, so let's do that from the beginning. Can you just, I want to just, I'm sorry, I'm throwing a lot of ideas at you, right away, so it's for later. So let's just do the first phrase. So I want you to think of just so those two chords. The first phrase is those three chords. Okay? Okay, good. So can you just play me the three chords? Can you do that?
Just play the chords, right?
Yeah, the three big chords that this phrase is based on. So you have tonic, dominant, tonic. Sol, fa, sol. Can you play the chords? Yeah, so when you play the phrase, you have to kind of remember this, because you sort of do. See, it's, you know, I don't feel like you are completing something. You just play the chord, but there is no sense for me of direction. So make sure that when you play the chorus, and this chord is not part. So crescendo. This is dominant. Go to the end. And here you have to be more finer. Not. So the last chord has to be different than the first chord. Okay? And if you look at the score, you have out of the chord has to continue the line. So it's not you play the chord and now you have the sol. You know. So at the end of your chord, your bow has to continue. So when you change the bow, you have to have a little bit of more bow speed. And I'm taking a lot of time on the first phrase because that principle is for the whole movement. Okay? So can you play that again?
Okay.
Yeah, you see, there is already, I feel like, you know, the beginning goes to the cadence. So there is more sense of direction. And the sense of when you do this. So you have a perfect. And now. So there could be a little bit more tension. Ta, da, dee, da, dee, da, da, da. And then when you play this, again, you have a dissonance. So, and you can arpeggiate this a little faster to make it more finer. One. Okay, so now let's do the second phrase. So the second phrase is very different. Instead of going down, you go up, and then you don't have any chord. So one. Now you add a vowel. You have consonant, dissonant, and at the end of the chord, again you have to go. It's not. Okay, so let's do that second phrase. Yeah, and Rodrigo, yeah, if you can be even softer so that there is a greater contrast with the first phrase. So stay at the tip and. So very light. And don't vibrate too much. So you can really make you can make a greater contrast. Okay. Yeah, and you can vibrate. And I would arpeggiate them the same. So 2 and 2. And highlight the first one, the top. Now highlight the bottom. And again with the feeling that it's dissonant, becoming. I think there is always a spiritual quality to those harmony. When you have something dissonant that becomes consonant, or the contrary, you have to almost, it's dark, which becomes light. You know, it's almost like if you're in a church and then you see a stained glass, and then the stained glass all of a sudden, you know, becomes lighter. So I think there is the chord and the intervals have really a very spiritual quality here. So you can't play a chord which is consonant the same as dissonant or the same as perfect. So you have those three always: consonant, perfect, dissonant. So try to play them with a distinct quality, those intervals. Okay, so let's do that again from the second phrase. Huh? Then you, yeah, okay, go ahead.
I see.
So piano, piano, don't use too much bow. Yeah. So for example, here you have perfect. So you have to have the perfect becoming consonant. But if you do, I don't hear the change in interval. So can you do this right there? Yes, and you have to feel like, there is, soothing, Okay, so now let's do the next phrase. So the next phrase, it's about two voices speaking. So imagine you have two singers. One is a soprano, one is a bass. So with your bow, you have to have two different speeds. The first one is very light, now heavy, light. Okay, so two different voices. Yeah, and good. And when you do, connect. So make sure that you use your bow fingers. Okay. Yeah, and Rodrigo, when you have a screen crossing, it's probably not a good idea to move your violin because you want, to be stable so that it's going to make it harder to be smooth and to be efficient. Okay.
Okay.
So two voices, two different arm weight, light and a little heavier for the bass. Yeah, continue. Yeah. And always, with a little bit more of a bass. And at the beginning, you can even breathe. You don't have to do. You want to give the feeling that it's two voices. So. And here again, you have dissonant. Now you have consonant. Okay, good. So now let's do the next phrase, starting on the second beat of measure 6. So, and I want to hear all the way to the cadence. So we need to hear that hidden scale. Again, il filo conductor. Ta, ti, da, da, di, da, ti, da, da. Okay? Go ahead. Yeah, so when you play, do you hear the bass?
Yes.
Yeah, so make sure that make sure that it's not fa, la, sol, fa, mi, re, mi, but fa, ti, da. let's do an exercise where you are going to play that scale louder, and then everything else play very soft. So can you play? Let's do this as an exercise. Yeah, go.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to go to delay, to di la. Mi fa sol la si re la. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Can I play this again from the?
Yeah.
The phrase. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is your first big cadence, so I think you need to play it bigger, not so shy. And I think when you approach this cadence with a very rhythmic ta-dam, pa-da-dam, pam, pa, ya-da-da-da-dee-da-da-dee-dam, pam, pa. I think you have to make the case on it's a strong cadence, it's a powerful cadence, so I wouldn't play it so soft. And I would be very rhythmic. Ta-dam, pa-da-dam, pam, pa-yam, pa-da-da-da-dee-dam, pa-da-dam, pa, pa. And then after something different. Okay, good. So now, can we just work? We probably don't have a lot of time, but can we practice a chord connection? So you had one. So can you do this one? So start from. Play me from the mi fa sol. Yeah. So don't move your violin when you change bows. So that's the first thing. So let's do that again. Okay. Yeah. So what your arm has to go from E string. So can you make sure that you anticipate the rotation of your shoulder? Ta-da-da. So after the G, you should be already here. So for now, just anticipate. Yeah, don't move your violin. Don't. Yeah. Okay, good. So now you need to do two things. You need to move your arm, and then you need to also do this. So do you feel like, so you need to feel the lightness in your arm and in your shoulder, and then the rounding up of your fingers. Okay, so let's do that in slow motion. And go ahead.
Sorry.
La sonnerie? Yeah. And do you feel your whole shoulder articulation is helping your arm? Do you feel the whole? Yeah, because it's not just your arm; it's here. So I want you to feel lighter and fast. Yeah, mi fa sol ta. Yeah. Can you do that again? Good. Yeah. And now you have to be for the left hand. You have to do. So you have 5. Sorry. So you have to transfer. So can I see your left hand?
You are saying that I need to anticipate my finger.
Yeah, your first finger has to transfer from fa la faster.
Oh.
Go ahead. Yeah. So look at your first finger so that it goes from fa to la. So when you do, yeah, okay, go ahead. Yeah, good. And now you are going to have to slow down the bow. Because if you don't, you can't arpeggiate here in the bow, you have to arpeggiate here. So your bow speed has to go faster in your oboe and slower. So you have to move your shoulder, your bow fingers, change the bow speed, and take care of your first finger, your left finger. So you have 4 things to think about. So can you do that slowly and think of those 4 things? Yeah, you did okay. You didn't think of your shoulder, and then you didn't slow down your bow. So yeah.
No, sorry. Can you repeat?
You have to slow down. Yeah. So the 4th thing, you have to move your arm. Okay. You have to do this. You have to go fast and slow speed, and you have to do
the finger.
And they all have to arrive like in less than a half second. Yeah, but I didn't hear. Good, but now you need to slow down the beginning of the down bow even more. Yeah, it would be great if you could arpeggiate here rather than here. So when you do the arpeggiation, because you have, so if you do, you are running out of bow. So, okay, so you have to work on the chord connection just like this, making sure that all of the components of the connection is there. And basically, it's going to be always those 4 things: shoulder, bow fingers, slowing down the bow speed, and what is happening with the left hand. So you have to, it's almost like you have to put a microscope on top of all of those connections. Okay, good. So do we have to go with somebody else? Mariana, do we have to move on?
Yeah, it's better because we have no more time.
Yeah. So I think, Rodrigo, I showed you sort of the script for the first 4 phrases. So think of all of the things that you have to do. And so, for example, the cadence that you have on the downbeat of 9, very different than the cadence that you have on 13. So don't play them the same. And think of the voices that you have. It's not just chord and 1 line, but you also have, some voices. So in Bach, you can think like this, but you can also think horizontally. So you have to do both in this movement, even though it's mostly chords and written out ornament. And make sure that you are precise when you go from to one. You know, when you look at this, it's on the second. It's not. So you have to decide when you leave the chord. Because if you do, see, then you erase the chord. So you have to be careful about not erasing the texture of the chord just because it's not precise when you go from chord to single line. Okay? And some of it you can improvise, but some of it I think you have to be strict. Like, for example, ta-dam, pa-da-dam, pam, pa-yam, pa-da-da-da. I wouldn't play. To me, this is not improvised. It's not the same. Ta-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Here you can improvise because the rhythm, it's not as important. But here, ta-dam, pa-da-dam, pam, yam, pa-da-da-da. You have a syncopation, you have dotted rhythm. So I think it's important to respect that unit rather than ta-da-ya-da-da-da-da-ya-da. No, I think you have to be stricter because it's the way the cadence is brought forth. Does it make sense? Yeah. So more sense of direction, know what you're doing in the phrases, and work on all of those line chord connection with all of the 4 elements. And tension release and the quality of intervals, so that intervals mean something perfect, dissonant, and consonant. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So now we have Isabelle. Isabelle is a violin student from Bachelor Violin.
Okay.
She will play Concerto Tchaikovsky, the first 4.5 minutes.
Okay.
We are going to watch a film.
Okay, film. A video.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, good, Isabella. Good, bravo. I always think, you know, when we play something, we have to understand what we are playing. You know, we have to play it, of course, to the best that we can, but we have to understand what is the particular language of a composer. So if I were to ask you, what would you say if you want to describe Tchaikovsky's music? Or if you want to describe this violin concerto, how would you describe it?
I think it is a very emotional concert and has a lot of beautiful melodies. And this theme, I would say it's very contemporary sometimes and very virtualistic. And finally, for the
Okay, I'm sorry, like we lost a lot of what you are saying with the communication, so I couldn't really hear a lot. But yeah, I think it's what I would say. What is difficult about this piece? It's the scope. It's a very long movement, and there is a lot of action. You know, it would be like as if you were watching a movie. And it's a movie taking place a whole life with a lot of things going on in the movie. So you have wars, you have love, you have the fights, you have maybe like, you know, like desolation. So you have a lot of things. And Tchaikovsky is doing this with a lot of rhythmic, there is a lot of rhythmic variety in this piece. So I think the rhythm is very important because you have all of those technical transition passages, so you have to make sure that they are exciting. You have a lot of development. At the beginning, you have a cadenza, tari, tada, pari, tada, pari. So you have to enter with the orchestra in the motion of the orchestra. And tada, da, di, da, 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 ya, da, da, ya, da, da, ta, da, da, di, da, ya. And the movement really starts. So you have to be careful that your little introduction is really, you are continuing the tutti of the orchestra, so you have to go all the way to the beginning of the movement. And then after you have so again, when you repeat them, you can fool around a little bit with the length of the long note, but the fast has to be not ta-da-da-ya-da-da-ya-da. So then after you have you have three things. So if you start too loud too soon, it's not as exciting. So you need to make sure. Now again. Now again. So you have, you know, very solid rhythmic dotted and then after you have all of the and the orchestra so you have to be careful that not too long. Then after so after you have four again little gestures, so they have to do a crescendo each of them so that it remains exciting. Then after so all of the technical thing that you do have to have more intention so that they really become part of that content. And then when you start the theme, where does the second theme start? It starts. Yeah. So make sure that before for my taste, you went too slow. You No, you have to still keep the vitality of the first theme section and then do the poco allargando when it's written not 2 measures or 1 measure before. And then you are going to repeat that second theme how many times?
Could you repeat?
Yeah, you have it the first time at C at 69. Ta da ya da 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 ya da 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 dee. Ta da 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 dee. Da dee da 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 dee. Da tia dee da da pa dee dee ya. Da 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 dee da 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 ta ya dee. Then the second time you repeat here, then you have it in lower register. Ta da ya da da da. So again, organize it so that when you repeat it, it means something. That it's not just 3 times you play. And then, yeah, okay? So let's do that again from the beginning, because I think you are doing a lot of very good things. You know, you are playing it well, you know, for the most part, it's in tune and your left hand is really good, but I'm losing the sort of the rhythmic energy and excitement of the piece, okay? So let's do that again from the beginning. Yeah, so when you play the beginning, just think the orchestra. Tari padam pari padam pari. Okay? Good, Isabelle. So when you enter, which note is more important or darker? Is it the La or the Si bemol?
The Si bemol.
Yeah. So ta di da 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 di da dam pa di. And then after, I think you can be less ta da di da ya. So that whole gesture has to start la do mi so re da. If you start this too loud, you can't have that, you know, that like that's then this is your highest point, the mi re do si la da 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 di ya da da ti da di ya da da. And then after you have like the waves, you go up and then you come down, you go up, you come down. Make sure that they don't sound the same. So ya ya da di da 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 di ya da da ti da di ya da da ta da da yim pa ya. And then the last one is a little bit more sentimental. Ta da da di with like ta da da di da ya. Padam. Okay, so let's do it again from the beginning. And ta di da da ta di da da. And even though it says piano, I think you can cheat a little bit and you can be a little more and a little darker. Make sure that so that your vibrato is muy exciting on the ta di, and then after back off. Okay. Right down. And Isabelle, since you're fa si sol la, I don't think you need to cue that entrance because you are continuing the orchestra. So if you were the ta di ta, so da pira 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 pa da pa di. So it's not that you are interrupt ta di ta la, you know.
Okay.
Da di da da di da di da. I love the beginning. I think it's you have freedom, but there is still a sense of direction. Yeah. Now, when you start la dam pa ya da 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 di da di da ta yam pa. So I think the first so I think don't be too loud at the beginning because you have la fa, si, sol, la, di, da, ya, da, da. So I think you can be after a little bit more at measured 30. Okay?
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
reserve, you know, don't be too loud. So and I would make sure that make sure the 60 notes are also expressive. Okay? So
Okay.
let's do right there. Yeah. And you have to be careful because the second note is long, but you still have to give us a downbeat. It's not ta because you don't want the second F to sound like it's a downbeat. It's so the pulse, the beat have to be clear. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So the same here, you have a repetition. So the first time, maybe not so much, so that then the second time you can be more. Okay? Good. So let's do and you have dolce, so don't be too loud.
Okay.
And Isabelle, make sure that you have eighth note, you have triplet, you have 60 notes. So ti da di da 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 di da 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 di da da. So don't make the triplets too fast. Be strict with the rhythm, so we hear eighth note, triplet, and 16 notes. Okay?
Okay.
So let's do that again. Yeah, good. Yeah, I like this. You see, it has vigor when you keep the rhythm clear. Now, when you do ti ta 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 da pa da pa pa da pa pa da, so you have to make sure that you hear the orchestra pa pa da pa da yap pa, because you need so 2 3 2 3. So you don't shorten the long note. Okay? So let's do and make sure that you always vibrate the long note.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't rush. You're rushing a little bit. So be a little bit ta 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 da pa da ya pa da ya pa da da pa da da pa da. Yeah, and you see how you have a staccato on the 32nd. So you have to so sometimes you do so make sure that you have to lift. And the second note has to be pa-da, 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 not ta-da, yap, pa-da, yap. Okay? Let's do that slowly.
perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't have, but you have to be consistent with the articulation and the length of each, the 30-second and the 60 note. Okay. So let's go on. So let's do ta da da dee da 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 dee. So again, maybe you can put piano the first one, mezzo piano the second one, mezzo forte the third one, and then there is a gesture that moves ta da da dee da 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 yeah dee da pa da da pi dee da pa da. So you have the opposition and the contrast between something which has motion and something which is very steady.
Okay.
Almost military in a character. Yeah, good. And give it a top. Da 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 dee da 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 pi da da. So that the C is a little bit more. It has to be the top note. If you want to do like a little graph, you do da 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 dee da 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 ti da 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 da. Okay. Now with the same, we are going to do 3 different dynamic. Try to use the vibrato the same. A little vibrato. More vibrato. The more. So your vibrato is also going to increase with the dynamic. On the C, on the Do, on the Mi sharp, median. So da 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 dee da 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 yum. Yeah, good. So the same thing. Can we do that slowly? Ti da 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 di da da. So how many how many triplets do you have? You have ti da 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 di da da ti da 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 ti da di da di da ti da di da 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 ti. You have 6 and then going to 57. So if you want pencil dynamics, so that you can put numbers. The first one is 5, the second one is 6, the second one is 7, 8, so that it remains exciting. So let's do ti da 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 di da di da da ti da da di. So slowly from the first si re fa la la si re.
No.
Yeah, you missed one. Yeah. So start a little softer. Yeah, and make sure that your interval. So you have. So each of those intervals really precise. Okay? So then, so you have to do the same. So the same thing after. So again, all of these. So that there is a crescendo underneath all of this. And it doesn't become forte and then it stays forte like this. So all of those dashes have to be exciting. So even though it's loud, there is still a degree of graduation in the loud register. It's not just like one, yeah. Okay? When you do this, same thing. More. So same thing, each of them gets louder and a little bit more aggressive. So and finally the last one, getting to fortissimo. Okay, so can you do it right there? So yeah, good. And I would make the last note a little shorter. So that it's a little bit more like, there is a little bit, I think it's not as pleasant, the character. Yum, yum. And now here it's a little bit more yum, pum, pum, pa-da-da, more declamatory. But yeah, if you do it loses, just making them longer, you lose the character, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also you can help with your bow use. At the beginning, I don't use a lot of bow. Now I go lower. Now I lower. And finally, so that always when you do a dynamic, how do you do the dynamic? Sometimes it's the bow, sometimes the vibrato, sometimes the bow speed, sometimes it's everything together, but the dynamic doesn't happen by itself. So if you want to do open string, so here, so you are going to get here for the beginning, then get lower, then get lower, then lower, then the full bow for the last one. Okay, so let's practice. So less bow, mid bow. More. Yeah, you see how now it's really effective. Yeah, good. So let's do from so right there for, and I think you have this syncopation, so it still has to have like a lot of agitation. And then it's like a smile, the last one, and it becomes
and we can breathe.
Yeah. So, but at the beginning, I think you are coming. So I think you can still be in that character, which is more tempestuous, tempestuoso. Yeah. Yeah, good. And you can do it with the dynamics too. So ta da 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 dee da dee da. And know when you're, for me, I become nice. And then really, as you go softer, it has to become more tender. So it's not just a dynamic change, it's also a lot of characters. So you have tempestuous, ta-dee-da-da-da. Now starting to get a little calmer, ta-da-dee-da-da-da-dee-da-dee-da. And now tender. So you have to go from very tempestuous and stormy to something tender in 2 measures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Yeah. And Isabelle, everything has to be very expressive, con molto espressione. So, your 60 notes have to be, you know, very, very, even more expressive than I think they have to be even more insisting.
Okay.
So vibrate them and don't go too fast with the bow speed. Yeah, yeah. So now can you do the same but being softer, because you have la, sol, si, la, si, la, do, si, do, re, mi, fa. So the melody goes high. So at the beginning you can be just as expressive but just more intimate. And maybe the vibrato can be a little softer. So start with a vibrato which is a little tighter, and then a little wider and a little wider as you increase in volume. Yeah, and I think here also, even though it's a very different moment, but I would not mix the rhythm. Ta de da ya da da ya ya tra de da da di da da di da cha di da da pa di yum pam pa da dum pi. I think there is a nice contrast between triple and duple.
Okay.
So I wouldn't erase that. So let's do ta da 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 dee pia de da da. And the second one you can do it more tender. Tia da 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 dee tia di da da. Ta di yum pa more. Ta da di da di da 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 dee. And then now you repeat. And the orchestra is different, okay?
Okay. So
let's do do, re, mi, fa, la, la, da, ya. Yeah. And I think here you can. Again, I think you can just do it because you are loud. So I think ta di da 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 di da di ya di da. And then after you have. You have those marcato and it says in tempo rubato. So you can maybe pull back a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so I think you could be even more strict when you do because your eighth note is an eighth note of not a triplet. You tend to do tia di da da di da da di tia di da da di da yam pi da. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I think a lot of the content comes from the rhythmic vitality and integrity. So I think you have to make sure that you are a little bit more respectful of the energy that the rhythm creates and all of the sequences. So that, you know, because it's so big, that movement, that if you are loud right away, first you are going to get tired. So you have to grow all of those things, you know, make them grow, look at the direction, etc., etc. So that it's a way to kind of to organize all of those units, because otherwise you have so many passage work that it's going to just be too it's not thick, you know. It has a lot of energy and it's big, but the texture, we need to hear all of those development of those units. Okay, good. Bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isabelle. Now it's Patrick. Patrick will play Gavotte from third partiture.
Yeah.
He studies in our teacher course. Okay.
Music education.
Yeah. And we have also to watch the video.
Yes. Hello, Patrick. Bravo, Patrick. Good.
Thank you.
I like your sense of articulation, which is really nice and clear. Your rhythm, your pulse is good, so that's good. What do you find the most difficult about this piece, about this movement?
to me it's very difficult to play the different way of the parts. Like we play part A, part E, and then I have to part A, and then I have to play different part B, like this.
Okay. So the very when you see an interval on the page, do you automatically have a finger position to every interval?
Sorry, interval.
When you see an interval on the page, do you know exactly how it translates in terms of physical or space in your fingers?
I think so.
Okay, can you play me a little scales in perfect fourth? Can you do can you just do something like this? Can you do that? So all perfect fourth. Yeah, so
Okay.
the perfect fourth, your fingers are crossed. Sorry, they are crossed with a space of a step, right? So you have a space. So you have.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, not right, just perfect fourth, quarta, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you need to be able to physically know what's a step. Okay, now do a tritone. Etc. So what I'm saying is whenever you see see, I don't think enough when you have an interval, your fingers are not 100% sure of where is the configuration. Okay, so can you do that for me? So can you do? So if you take measure, do you have measure numbers in your score? So measure 9 with the pickup. Si, do, do, si, do.
Okay.
Yeah, so you see it's not precise enough. The first one is good. Now you have a step and a half. Then you have a step. Then. So yeah, I want you to sort of really pay attention to the space. So perfect fifth. Then you have step and a half. Then the perfect fourth, tritone, and major sixth. Look at your fingers. The tritone is not in tune. Si, fa, si, do. Yeah, do the.
No.
Yeah, your tritone is. Yeah. The tritone has to be smaller. Yeah, so I would make sure that whenever you see an interval, make sure maybe you can write a step and a half tight, so that it's really, whenever you see an interval, you know what it is in terms of finger placement. Okay, so now Yeah, so you have the form, it's A, B, A, C, A, D, A. You know, you have couplets and refrains, right? Like a song, yeah. So let's just do the A. Let's do the A section first. Tam, pam, pia. So let's do the refrain. How do you say un refrain in Portuguese?
Refrão.
Yeah, refrain et couplet.
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 We don't have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. So refrain. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's good. It's very even. What's the difference between the gavotte, the minuet, and the bourrée? Which one is the heaviest? The gavotte, the minuet, or the bourrée?
They are dense.
Yeah, but which one is heavier?
Heavier. I think
Yeah.
The minuet. Heavier,
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah, I would say the gavotte is a little bit more elegant. Tim pam pia, yadadam pam pia. I think the minuet is elegant, but of course it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the bourrée, I think it's more country. So pam pam paridadam paridam parida. So I think you are playing the gavotte a little bit as if it were the bourrée. Pam pam paridada. I think it's a little lighter. So you're a little heavier. So let's try to see if we can do a. So try to make sure that your arm is a little lighter. Which one is the strongest chord at the beginning? You have so I think you go toward the Sila. Yeah, so tam pam pa di da dam pam pi. So don't play too loud at the beginning. And the beginning it's an anacrusis, right? It's tip pam piam. So it's not on the beat. So if you play this, it sounds like it's on the beat. It's 1. So I think you have to, in my opinion, you have to go to the Sila. Tim pam pa di da dam pam pi da pam. Okay? And breathe at the beginning. Tim pam pa ya da dam pam. And light. Yeah, light arm. Okay, good. Yeah. So you have to be careful that your down bow, your up bow is very different than your down bow. So can you do? Yeah. Can you put a little bit of air? So. Yeah, do it even shorter. Yup, up, up, rather than ba, 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 ba. So lighter. Up, up. Yeah, and you don't. Yeah, maybe you can be a little bit. So a little bit closer to the upper mid bow rather than here. So. Yeah. Okay, so now let's do. Yeah. So when you do tayyip, your elbows tend to go a little bit more like a little arrow, like a little, how do you say in flesh?
flecha. Arco e flecha.
É uma flecha.
Yeah, flecha. So no flecha. Pa pam pi da da dam pam pa no ti yep pa. Yeah. Yeah. So imagine that there is a little bit of a crescendo. Ti pam pa di da dam pam pi ya da pi da pam. Yeah, Patrick. Yeah. Patrick, you need to sound a little bit more friendly. Right now, I'm a little afraid of you. Yeah. And don't finish. Ta da da ta 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 ti yam pam 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 pi. So don't finish. It's not over. Ta da da ta 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 ti yam. Yeah. And it's the same. Yeah, you do. You stop. Pi, so you need to continue. Yeah, good. And you saw. And I would play the down instead of almost think of them as a pair. So you have broken chords. So the oboe is not a separate note. It's still part of the chord. Tim pum pim pum pim pum pim. Yes, and you don't have to go to the T. Okay, so stay where you are. So pim pum pim pum pim pum pim. Yeah. So I think the couplet, the refrain is always light and elegant like this. And I think it's almost as if you were tutti ripieno. So I think the couplet, tim pam pam pa da da da. So the B section, the C section, the D section, I think they are a little bit more solo, as if you could have tutti, ti pa pa di da da, and here solo. And at the beginning, you have tim pam pa di were in mi majeur, tim pam pam pa di ya da da di ti da, si do sharp, do dièse minor. So tim pam pam pa da da di da pa. So it's a little bit more solo. So the sound should be different in the B, the C, all of those couplet section. Okay. So pay attention to. Yeah. So tim pam pam. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And what I do is in the refrain I do. So I stay in the upper half. And then in the couplet, so I stay a little bit closer to here, and I'm here for the refrain. So now let's do that slowly. Now start soft. and then you have in C sharp minor, okay? Yeah. Patrick, make sure that your up bow is not so different than the down bow. Again, I hear T, yep, pam, tim, pam, pam, parim, pam. So it's the couplet, the B section to me is a little slightly more connected than the refrain. So tim, pam, pam, rather than ti, pa, pa, yada, da, pam, pam. Maybe think of, maybe think of, go ahead. So, and stay closer to the frog. Yeah, and tam, pam, pam, finish. Yeah. So you have to be careful also about the lateral, so make sure that when you go across, your finger goes across, but not slightly higher. So the sol go to the C. Now start soft. Light. Now you have 2 and 2. Now all separate. Now 3 and 1. All separate. Now 2 and 2. Now 1 and 3 and 1. So the articulation is also important. If you have 2 and 2, all separate or 3 and 1, we need to hear it. Ta-da-pi-da, pa-da-da-pam, pa-pa-pa-pam. So that it doesn't say wah, 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 without any difference. Okay? But pay attention in your left hand to the lateral motion, sol, do. Okay? So let's do that again. Don't use too much vibrato for now. So let's do that again under tempo. Yeah. So I would be you. I would practice all of the solo separately. So at the next one, you have ti ta 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 ti pa da pa. So you have 2 voices. Then second voice. So perfect. Third, sixth. So always lower in the bow, articulation, and think what you have. And again, here we have a modulation. Ta ta ti da ta 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 da ta 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 da ti da ta da. We are in C now, C major. Okay? Yeah. So ta 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 ti da 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 pa 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 pi da da. And then the final one is like a trumpet. So and again, know what the intervals are. Small. And think of it, is it small or large? Small, large, small, small, large, small. Here you can practice in double stop. Etc. So practice this in double stop for the left hand fingers. Okay?
Okay.
And make sure that the gavotte, even though it's lighter, you can still make a distinction between refrain and couplet. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bernard. Couple and couplet is estrofes in Português. In Português.
Strophe, like in poesy. Poesia, strophe. Yeah.
Okay, so we have the last one. It's Maria Elisa. So with prelude of the same party.
Bravo. So Maria Luisa or Maria. Yeah. Good. What do you like about your playing, and what do you think you need to improve in your playing? What works well, and what do you think works a little less well?
Sorry, can you repeat?
What do you think in your playing works well and can be improved?
I think I can improve the fluence on the left hand, the tones, and the change balls. I think so.
Okay, and when are you happy about? What do you think you do well?
The piano, crescendo, diminuendo.
Okay, well, it's important to know, we are always, we sometimes we get too critical about ourselves, and then we don't know what works well. I think you have a very good left hand. You are traveling actually around your violin quite nicely, and you're in tune. Your fingers have, the articulation of your left fingers are good. Your string crossing are also not bad. I think your bow hole seems to be sort of like this. So I think you need to make sure that you have, especially because you have so much of it is, continuous. So I think you need to make sure that your third finger has a little bit more contact with the frog. It feels almost like your fingers are a little too much like this. So make sure that you have your first finger is going to press down, your thumb is going to press up, the third finger is around, and the pinky is going to balance your bow. But if you are like this, your third finger, doesn't have that ability to be that circle of pressure that you need. You need to have, that kind of feeling that you have a circle. So I think it's important that when you play, you feel that third finger, which is, when you want some sound. And that doesn't mean that it's stiff. You can still move it, but feel, that third finger around. That's one thing. Now, the difficulty with this movement is that you have about 136, 37, 39. You have 139 of 16 notes. So it's a very long time to just play 16 notes. So what can you do to add variety and to help yourself playing all of those 16 notes? What are the different things, the different elements that create variety in this movement?
Where?
In the whole movement, you have, how do you create variety throughout, the fact that you repeat 16 notes?
I don't understand.
Quels sont les éléments qui créent de la variété ou de la diversité malgré le fait qu'il y ait des doubles croches? Quels sont les éléments de Bach que Bach inclut pour amener de la variété?
Quais são os elementos que o Bach usou para trazer variedade, apesar de ter só, como disse,
Só
semicolcheias? Como que ele conseguiu dar uma variedade?
As ligaduras.
O que você acha que é o que que traz variedade nessa música, apesar de só ter semicolcheias? O que pode ser de interessante aí para você mudar o clima?
Os apoios, as dinâmicas.
And I think if you don't know, make a list. I think, there are some lines, you have some lines. So at the beginning, pa-da-dum, pam, pam, pi, pa-da-da-da-da, pa, pa, pa. So. having line, that's one thing. Then you have bariolage. That's another thing. Then you have sequences. Ta-da-da-da-da, pa-da-da-da-dim, pa-da-da-da-da, pa-da-da-da-dum, pa-da-da-da-dum, pa-da-da-da-dee. That's another thing. Then you have pedal poem. So that's another thing. Then you have contrast forte piano. That's another thing to create variety. And then you have so at the end you have like, you know, the theme almost. So you have some things to create variety, because otherwise it's very difficult to play this without knowing, you know, oh, I have lines. And then sometimes you have, it's on the beat. Ta-da-dum, pam, pam, pee, pa-da-da-dum, pam, pam, pee, pee, da-da-da-da-da-dee. Pa-da-da-da, ta-da-da-da-da-da-da. So sometimes it's on the beat, sometimes it's anacrusis. So it can help, you know, all of those things are going to help you play the movement from beginning to end. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do the line, for example. Let's do the variety number one, the line. So can you play measure 3? Can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you just play measure 3? Here. Yeah. So can you just play this? Yeah, and you see how you shape it. You give it a little crescendo. So when you do this, try to make sure that there is that line as well. Okay? Yeah, now play ta 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 ta. Now play the regular way. Yeah, and now let's do so forte and then piano. So ti da 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 di pa da 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 da. So that we do two, the line and the contrast with dynamics. Yeah, good. Now, can we do another line? Can you do this one? Measure 13 on the ta-di-da-da-da-di. Yeah, so make sure that you start here. So you're starting on the mimi, on the forte. Yeah, and make sure we hear again more ta di da 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 di ya da da di da da. So make sure that the line is clear. Good. So now let's do the bariolage, which is the third. So. And think as if you were playing chords. Okay. imagine as if you had yum pum 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 yum pum 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 yum pum pum, so that each time you have a new harmony. So okay, as if you were to play on a piano, you know. Okay, so that there is a bounce, yeah. Yeah, it's okay, yeah. I just want to give you some musical ideas, then after we'll go back to technique. So now can we do the sequence? So, okay, so let's do from 29. Yeah, and then you can do, it's almost like having a terrace. So the first one may be mezzo piano, so mezzo piano, mezzo forte, forte. Good. Now do the next one. Study do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. Measure 33, 33, da. No, do, re, yeah, do, re, mi. When you do, yeah. So that's another one. Now let's do the pedal point at 43. Yeah, so you see it's different motifs that help you create variety. I know it's probably a little confusing when I'm asking you to do, but I want you to realize that you have different motifs here. Okay? Okay, so make sure that you're string crossing when you have a line. Can you do that for me? Can you play that? Just string crossings. Yeah. Just play this. Just open string, corda, yeah. Yeah, so make sure that your arm here doesn't move. That it's only your wrist allows your hand to go back and forth. Now, when you do this, make sure that you feel the third finger. And make sure we hear. Yeah. And keep your bow closer to bow string. So that you try to keep your bow closer to bow strings, so that the string crossing is smaller. Yeah, so now can you do and again, yeah. Can you measure 3?
Compasso 3.
Ah, great. Okay.
Yeah. Is it possible to move your arm a little higher so that you're a little bit? So look here so that your hair doesn't move so much. Yeah. Mariana, maybe you can ask her si elle peut mettre son archet plus entre les deux cordes, entre la corde de Ré et la corde de La. Donc, le changement de corde est plus petit.
Ele está pedindo para você colocar o arco um pouco mais perto entre as duas cordas. Porque aí você não precisa mexer tanto o braço. Você está mexendo demais o braço, porque você vai de uma corda para outra. Tenta procurar um ponto de equilíbrio e aí você vai para cima e para baixo.
Yeah. And try to have a contact point which is not so close to the fingerboard, but a little bit. See, my bow hardly moves. It has now, so... Good. So now let's start from from the beginning. Yeah. So at the beginning, make sure that you breathe. So imagine that the piece starts really here. So it's the first downbeat is really measure 3. Okay? Yeah, good. Yeah. And you can you can place a little bit da 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 da. Yeah, so from the beginning. Yeah, do from the beginning again. Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Da da.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, mi fa sol la si do re mi fa da 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 ya. So I think you can place the top mi. Okay, and when you want to do a crescendo, so you can get a little lower in the bow when you want. So instead of doing a crescendo where you go closer and closer to the tip, go back to lower when you want to do a crescendo. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So let's do mi fa sol la si do re. Yeah, again. Yeah, again. Mi fa sol la si, again. Yeah, good. And when you see, can you do that shift for me? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so can you shift for me? Yeah, you could also do so you can do one shift. Yeah, go ahead. So C. Then you shift. So you shift on the C.
Ele está pedindo para você fazer a mudança de posição com Ré. Você sobe ao Ré, depois volta para o Si.
Lá. Yeah. No. You shift. You shift to fourth position on the C. No. It's okay. Yeah, it's this is in first position. Then you shift. So you have only one shift. Now you shift to a first finger on the C. Si do re mi, si do re mi. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, so you have to, yeah. So let's do, can you do, so when you do this, make sure, so again, third finger. So place your arm in between. So don't do this too much, put your bow. Yeah. So put your arm in between the three strings and make sure that you have the contact with your finger. Yeah. Make sure that you are a little bit more like this rather than like that. So yeah. And Maria, make sure that the four notes are very even. So no, very even, very like all the notes da 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 di da di da da, that they all speak.
Todas as quatro notas iguaizinhas.
Yeah, that's good. Make sure that there are no double stops ever. So no. So you want to be very connected, but no double stops, very clear.
É importante que a gente ouça todas as notas bem conectadas, mas não pode se ouvir notas duplas.
Yeah. So it's a mix of control with your arm and control with the both fingers. Yeah. Yeah. And what you can practice doing accents. And so you can practice this passage by displacing accent, playing an accent on the first note and on the second note, or in the third and on the fourth. And then ta da da di da di da. So there are ways to practice, but first you have to make sure that it's very clean. And important. The weight and the looseness, yeah. Okay. So we probably have to stop, right? Mariana,
yes,
we have
I'm
to,
sorry.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
so
wonderful.
I'm sorry this was probably a little confusing, Maria, but try to identify the different types of patterns that you have in the bar.
Okay.
And then
Thank
the
you.
lines, the lines, the bariolage, the pedal point, the sequences, the contrast. And then make sure that each of them, if you want, practice the same family together. So practice all the lines together, practice the bariolage together, practice the sequences together. And then after, you can put them back into the piece. Okay?
Okay.
And always
Okay.
make sure that the wrist is very important. Your hand is going to move between the strings because your wrist allows. So you shouldn't work here when you have the line. And then when you have the pedal point, you have both. You have a... It's the same... So it's arm, shoulder, and then wrist, hand. So ta-da. So practice it separating. Etc., etc., so that you do the right physical action: arm, shoulder, hand, wrist. Arm, shoulder, hand, wrist. That's the only passage where you have to do that. So practice all of the pedal point again separate. And finally, just as a parting, I think that piece is in 3 sections. You have the first section, which is from the beginning, and it goes to here. So if you look at measure 59, it's almost like pa-da-da pam 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 pa-da-da-da-dam pim pam pam pam. So this is the second section. Start ta-da-da. So you have so this is the second section, and then the last section for me is this. It's the last measure 109. So and when I start the last section, I ta-da ta-da tira tera ta-da ta-da. I start a little slower and then I gain speed. So this way, you know, it helps organizing the piece, having 3 different sections rather than thinking of it in one big section. And the second section is almost a mirror to the first section. When you have pa-da-da pa-pa-pa, then you have the bariolage ta-da-da-dee-da-dam pa-dee-da-dee-da-dam pa-da-da-dee-da-dam pa-dee-da-da-dee-da ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-dam. And then after you have the same sequence, ta-da-da-da-dam pa-da-da-da-dam pi-da-da-dee-da-da-da-dam pa-da-da-da-da-da-dam pa-da-da-da-da-da-dee ta-da-da-da-dam pa-da-da-da-dam pa-da-da-da-dee. And ta-da-da-dam pa-da-pa-da-pi-da-pa-da-pa-da-pa-da-pa-da-pa-da-pa-da-pa-da. And then when you have the ending, so 2, 3. It's almost like an adagio like we have in the cello suite, where all of a sudden it stops the speed. Yam pi pa pam pa dam pa da da di pa da ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da yam. Okay.
Okay.
So it's going to help you, you know, because it's a very long movement to play the same rhythm over and over. So you have to have some ways of adding variety. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Merci Bernard pour travailler avec notre enfant, notre élève. C'est très important pour eux. Ils vont travailler avec tout ce que tu as dit. C'est beaucoup d'informations, mais c'est très valeureux. Merci beaucoup.
De rien, merci de m'avoir invité. It was delighted to work with all of you again. I wish you, when is your school year over?
Just now, this week.
This week you are done. Yeah, you have. Yeah.
The last semaine.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and good luck everyone, and bravo again for all your performances. Bye.